We got on that post?
Probably more than the original one did.
1 million.
Are you serious?
Look it up. 1 million. I'm like, I need to create an OnlyFans account. So,
wait a minute.
What have I been doing wrong all my life? Hello, friends. Welcome to a new episode of Screen Dreams with James A. Janisse and Catherine Corcoran and myself as your host. We also have with us Skelly Sam. Let's see, should I turn Skelly Sam off? Because I just turned him on, as one does. Anyway, we have a really cool guest today.
Yeah.
And he's a very special friend of mine, somebody who I've admired for a long time, who I became friendly with, and then I was in his movie. I'm talking about Andrew Bowser. Actor, writer, director, kind of, bon vivant extraordinaire. Bowser raised over $600,000 on Kickstarter to make the feature film ONYX the Fortuitous and the Talisman of Souls, which premiered at the 2023 Sundance Film Festival. It was an amazing experience. I was there. Fantastic. And I loved being in his film. So I want to introduce you all to Andrew.
Hello.
Hey, buddy.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here, especially in the new studio.
You're our inaugural guest.
Yeah.
You're our first
It's an
guest.
honor.
First one.
Yes.
Thank you.
How do you feel about the digs?
I love it. I love
Yeah.
Skelly Sam.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm feeling comfy. I got my coffee,
Amazing.
my golden chair. I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking to you about what scares you and what frightens you. And that's something that we as hosts have been talking about for a while. But we also, I don't know, the other day I said, I don't know if we're digging in deep enough to really find out what really scares us. So I want to kind of talk about that a little bit more. So I don't know, this wasn't planned, but I'm just going to bring it up right now. I'm just going to say, what scares you, James?
Death.
Really, what scares you?
Oh, yeah, death. It sucks. The immolation of the universe, the end of time, those existential thoughts.
So more than your own personal death.
Well, it's the thought of like, oh, maybe you could eventually find a way to have people live forever, but then does that really matter? Because eventually the sun is going to engulf the earth, and then what if we like find a way to get off the earth and go well, eventually like the universe is going to. So that kind of the end of time. When you start thinking about immortality,
If you could choose, would you like to drink the elixir that makes you immortal? Would you?
Oh yeah, 1,000%.
Even if the sun ultimately ended up engulfing you, you would have to live through it.
Yeah, because I could read so many books before then.
And prevent the sun from engulfing you.
No, there's lots of stuff to do, and there's not enough time to do it.
That's true.
And lots of cool things.
Many billions of years before the sun engulfs us.
That's true.
Billions
Yeah,
of
a lot
years.
of time.
So yeah. I don't know. I feel like. Do you know Don Hertzfeldt's work? I feel like you might be familiar with it.
I don't know.
Okay, he did the Rejected cartoon. Is probably his most famous one. It's like little stick figures.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so we went to a screening at Vidiot's a couple of weeks ago, me and Chelsea, my wife, and it was like Rejected is a very funny thing, but his other work is very kind of that. It's funny, but it's existentially heavy. And so it was, Oh, What a Beautiful Day, I think, and his new film, Me, and they both are just like kind of like they finished, and I was just like, whew, and because it deals with those thoughts of like living forever. And
I once had a panic attack in a planetarium just because
Yeah,
it just
like
started
the
making
scale
me
of
think
things.
so big picture, and this is how we spin, and this is this, and this is that.
Right.
And I just started, because I have anxiety around flying, and I don't like drops, and so I started looking up at the things that were being projected in the planetarium, and I'm like, well, we could all just fall. We're all just floating. It's not a matter of being on a plane or not.
Like being on a plane or being high up or falling off anything, or if I go onto a balcony, I'm afraid I'm going to jump.
Yeah, you get that little
I really do.
vertigo.
Thoughts,
like
yeah.
I don't really like to be next to the window on a plane.
Oh, really? Because I feel more comfort being
yeah.
being able to
I like the
see,
window
oh, we're
seat.
still up. We're good.
Totally.
Yeah.
No, I don't. Yeah, I just don't know where to be when I'm in the air.
You just stand in the aisle.
Standing? You know what? That would be good for me, actually.
Really?
To stand in the aisle and walk
Yeah.
up and down and
Think
talk
that's
to people.
illegal?
Well,
I
that's
feel like you'd be
true.
a great
Yeah.
flight attendant. Like,
What?
I feel like you'd be a great flight attendant. You'd make sure everyone had plenty of blankets and was like comfortable.
Yes. I'm a good hostess.
You are.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that brings me to what I'm really afraid of. I'm afraid of being alone.
You'll never
I'm
be
afraid of being alone.
Do you want
And
to hold Skelly Sam again?
He's got you.
That's why I have parties and I invite people
Yeah.
over all the time. Because I like to be with people. Maybe I don't like to be with my own thoughts as much.
Yeah.
Maybe I just like to talk to other people about their thoughts.
Barbara, you're never going to be alone. We'll move in with you. We're okay with it. We're fine with it. We're all
I
coming.
know. When I'm alone, I'm happy, but I'm also afraid of it. Isn't that weird?
I might be the inversion of that because I have a hard time being social and I find so much solace and comfort in being alone.
I need
like,
to decompress.
Yeah.
I can just disappear.
How does your wife feel about that?
Not great. She had
Do you
to train
include her
me.
with being alone, or no? You need to be alone. Okay.
Me and my spider. I got a baby tarantula
Oh yeah.
in
You
my
do?
office. I do.
I don't know that.
Yeah, I know. It's new
What's
for
his
me.
name?
But, well, I don't know if it's, I don't know the sex yet because it's still so small and you can't quite sex them until they're older.
Oh.
But I've named her Audrey 3 because I had Audrey 1 and 2. They passed because they pass really easily when they're tiny spiderlings.
Yeah.
So I bought 3. 2 didn't make it. This is Audrey 3. But we've yet to find out what sex Audrey is. But no, my wife's had to like train me in having friends. I'll be stressed out about something, and I'm like, this person said this, and then I said this, and I don't know, and I'm in my head about that, and she's like, that's called having friendship, and I'm like, right, but it'd be so much easier if I was just alone in my garage with my thoughts. So I've had to really work at being more.
I didn't know that about you
engaged.
because I've always felt like you were really friendly to me.
Well, friendly, but it always helps if there's something for me to hang it on, and I think that's why I'm a bit of a workaholic.
Yeah.
Because
100%.
I can be
We're doing something now.
we're doing something.
Yeah.
And one of my closest friends from production, if they're like, "You want to go get a beer?" I might say, "Oh no, I can't. I'll see you next time we shoot something." You know, it's easier for me to have.
So you have a hard time just like chilling, just hanging out,
Yes.
not having. Chelsea's kind of the same way. Like we'll be just hanging out and we'll be like, all right, let's have people over to play board games. But then we'll come over and we'll just end up like hanging around and talking. And she'll start to get fidgety and be like, no, we gotta play a game, right?
There
We
needs
gotta
to be
do
an
something, right? There
activity.
needs to be an
Yeah.
activity. And like I find myself kind of in the middle, going back and forth, being able to like sometimes chill, but sometimes just having that nagging, like, no, we should be doing something?
Yeah.
Or is this something? Does this count? I don't know.
I have a hard time if there's not an end time set.
Yeah.
And my wife could just like hang out till whenever. And
Yeah,
I'll be
that's
like,
stressful too.
Yeah, it's super stressful, and it's not.
I can just hang out.
I could hang out.
And it's not because I don't like the people that I'm hanging with, but I could be with the best people on earth, and I'd still want to know when does this wrap up, just so I can
God, that's
aim, kind of navigate my energy and my social battery,
Right.
and know exactly how to make it last for however long the hang.
I'm a perpetually late person. It's because I have like really bad social anxiety.
Yeah,
So yeah, I know you say that. I've said this before, and you'd be like, "What?" And like,
because Catherine, you're constantly talking.
I know
You're
it's
always
really hard.
never
to
chatting
get
it up.
No, it's really hard to get me to shut up. Like really.
No, you take up a lot of space, but I appreciate that because I admire that. I admire that quality that I like people who take up space. Like if somebody's really quiet and you have to work extra hard to talk to them and pull stuff out of them, that feels like work to me.
Yeah.
You know? But with you, it's easy to be around you because you always have something to offer.
Aw, thanks. That means so much. I think honestly, it's been like a conscious reprogramming. Like, I was like not in the healthiest situation for a lot of my 20s, so I was like told not to say anything.
With that boyfriend
Yeah,
that
or
you've told me about.
Or after when I would leave, like I would get like evaluated on my like performance almost. Like
Girlfriend?
no, but like, or like if what I said like in a situation, like, so it'd be like, you said this and that was stupid. Like, or like you did this at this point and
is
that
this
was
an internal thought, or you're saying somebody would actually?
no, someone would actually say this
telling
to
you.
me.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
it was a guy that
but it was a long relationship
Right.
and it was most of my 20s, and I think also being kind of like the black sheep in my family, like it just made me feel
Black
like
sheep?
everything. Well, I think as
You're the black
creatives,
sheep?
I think as creatives we
Comes
just
from
are.
an Amish family, so
Yes, my family is Amish, and no.
Yeah.
But don't you? I mean, you're an artist. Your performance kind of bleeds into your everyday life. Is that
Yeah.
kind of a like social
Yeah.
mechanism in a way?
A social what?
Social, mechanism to make social interactions easier? Have
Yes.
you always been like that? Did you train?
Oh my gosh! I mean, the idea that it's just an icebreaker. I mean, ever since I started acting when I was really little,
Yeah.
and I was always an introvert. I mean, I had my little crew of friends, but I was not social as a child at all. But through performing, I could kind of get over that, or there was something again to hang the conversation on. And to be honest, even now having done ONYX for this amount of time, going to a horror convention and people saying, "Oh, I saw your thing," even that is still helping me have conversations with people, and I feel more relaxed if there's kind of something central that gets the conversation started. It doesn't have to be about me, but I did find that through performing, I could kind of be a little bit of a different person.
Well, yeah, I feel like we should talk about what Andrew does in ONYX for people who aren't familiar, because it's different than other filmmakers and performers we've had on who usually play a character once or, maybe in a series. But like ONYX is like this character who you kind of live as sometimes.
Yeah.
And you've been doing it for how long?
Well, 2012 was the first video that I shot.
And it started as an online thing, right?
Yeah. And but the video didn't get views for a year. I shot something at E3 where I did the character and called the video Weird Gamer Guy, and then it just sat online for a year and didn't get views. And then Reddit picked it up the following E3. And that kind of pumped ONYX out into the, internet landscape.
ONYX wasn't part of Nerdist then? You didn't create that while you were at Nerdist?
No, but I think he definitely helped me get the job, because I had a couple viral videos popping, and then I was hired at Nerdist to be a producer and editor and eventual in-house director. So ONYX, I think, helped me move into that position.
Yeah.
But no, it was my own little weird creation.
But ONYX is the weird Satanist guy, right?
Yes.
Is he? That was before Andrew came and I was talking about ONYX. I was like, what is that guy called? He's the weird Satanist guy.
That's I was taking classes at UCB and doing a lot of improv and
That's
character
weird.
work.
I would have guessed Groundlings.
That's what everybody suggested, but it was such a long wait and process to get in at the Groundlings. But my mind was just going on characters and premises, and I was doing a lot of nervous characters that talk really fast, but I didn't have a name for any one single personality until I did Weird Gamer Guy and Weird Satanist Guy, and then I realized, oh, that's ONYX, that's Marcus Trilbury, and it kind of got dialed in. And those are the videos, and Weird Arby's Guy. Those are kind of the three that people on the internet saw.
Well, you wrote that script, ONYX, like maybe 7 years ago now? Is that when you because I read it.
For the film?
For the film?
For the film.
I had a couple different iterations of what an ONYX feature could be. Yeah. So I don't know if what you would have read would have been this exact thing, but there were
It was 150 pages, I remember.
Well, there's I think the longest
I like
ONYX
this character, but it's a little long.
I think the longest ONYX script I sent out was like 128. But that you might be right though, because I would send you stuff that was pretty rough because I know that you know the process. I maybe sent you a 150-page ONYX script. Holy hell. But yeah, I had been going through different versions of. There was a certain point where doing ONYX, I was always a filmmaker, and I didn't know if those two streams could cross. And then I got to a point where I realized a couple scripts I just couldn't get going, a couple features, and so I needed to crowdfund something. And ONYX was the only cachet I had on the internet. So then I wrote the ONYX script to kind of try to fuse those two sides of myself.
But also, I think it was a script that you were taking around and showing people. And like many of us, even me, I take scripts around to show people. And people go, oh, that's nice. Yeah. Good luck with that.
Yes.
Oh, that's nice.
That's always what it was.
So then at a certain point, you said, well, maybe I'll just crowdfund this. Because enough people knew you from that character that you could rely on your fans and your fan base. And it was extraordinary how many picked up on that.
Yeah, and I thought, to be honest, it would be a little easier to raise the money because at that point when I started the Kickstarter, I had about 1 million followers on TikTok, and I just thought, oh, wow, I've got all of this ONYX awareness. Yeah. They're all going to show up at the Kickstarter, and it was so hard to port people over to that platform. And so I actually quit my job. I was working as a video producer for the relaunch of G4, the video game news network. And I thought I'll run the Kickstarter while I have this job producing sketches and directing sketches for G4. And day one of the Kickstarter, I was like, no, I got to quit that job. This Kickstarter is going to be
it's like a
full-time job of making content and getting it on all the different platforms where Onyx has a following, and just messaging out the same thing.
That's what you did.
day.
You're really good at creating little videos and fun little
Yeah.
things. And I think, just the accumulation of all the videos that you put out.
Yeah, what was the one with the nard?
Oh yeah. Once the film actually came out, we made some promo videos with that was a parody of the Noid.
The Noid,
because
yeah,
everything
yeah.
Onyx is obsessed with is what I was obsessed with in the 80s.
Yeah.
And I forget what we called him the Nodge.
Okay.
But Onyx is a good way for me to just explore. I met a visual effects artist that kind of specializes in making things that look like claymation
Oh, cool.
and that look practical, but they're actually done in Blender. So Onyx kind of gives me, I usually come up with an idea based on something technical that I want to pursue. So I wanted to try little claymation videos. And that's why the movie has so many creature effects,
Yeah.
because that was a technical interest of mine. And so Onyx has allowed me to kind of Trojan horse other interests into his world so I can stay stimulated as a filmmaker.
But I mean, we talked about this. We had Francis Scalepi on recently, and we talked about this with him. And I feel like it's similar with you. It's like nobody is going to be a bigger advocate for you or understand your vision better than you will. Period. So it's
Yeah.
like you can take it around and try to get people to fund it and try to get people on board, but you're constantly trying to explain what you're doing. And whereas with you and with him, it was just like, we're just going to go all in and bet on ourselves.
Yeah, at a certain point, I mean, the big thing was that pitching an Onyx script, it needed to fit for that company's slate. So it might be as simple as, well, we need a holiday movie. We need a Christmas movie. Can you reskin this to be a Christmas movie? And then you're like, yeah, no, totally. It's like, the Ghost of Christmas Past and Onyx, da-da-da-da-da. And that just got, I mean, and then you work on those pitches and you send in those decks and they're like, Christmas? Oh no, we dropped that. We're not making a Christmas. And you're like, that was 6 months of building a Christmas Onyx deck. And at a certain point, you're like, if we don't just make the thing that's written that I like, it just is never going to happen.
What I found amazing, I played your mom in the movie, being on set with you, and I said this to you in the moment while we were doing it. You were directing us all in a scene, and then telling all the crew and everything what was going on, what to do, and then you were talking to me about my character, and then you were saying action. And then you were talking as your character, like you were saying action while you were on camera. And I was like, how are you doing this, Andrew? You're like in every single scene.
Yeah.
And you're saying action on camera and you're acting with me. And then you break in a moment and then you're like, okay, Barbara, about this scene right now, I want you to give me a little more, sadness in this moment.
Yeah, how do you handle that as you're acting in these scenes? Is part of your brain also being like, oh wait, I want to make this adjustment for this actor, and I'm also thinking about the edit, and how do you stay in character while doing that?
I don't think I could do it if it weren't Onyx. I've been doing the character for so long that it's really just natural, and it's I can slip into him and slip out, and I can still be thinking about all of these other factors. I think if it were any other role, if it was something I just started prepping for a couple months ago, I don't think I could split my attention like that. But with Onyx, it's very easy because he's kind of always there. Anyway, he's like my 5th grade self, frozen in time. But my producer, Olivia, could catch every once in a while if something was too distracting, that Onyx would take like a couple steps back out of my face. And she would be able to tell that Andrew, the director, was getting distracted by something. So she was the one that would say. So it wasn't.
But she was also on camera a lot of the time too.
She was, yeah.
Her and my DP Dan are especially on an indie like this, you don't have time to play back every take. I'm not going to make my whole crew stop down while I watch me going, "My wiener," or whatever, yelling. I'd be like, I don't know, I think I could say that differently. So I really needed to trust Dan and Olivia, and she would catch when I was dropping the character a little bit. But it wasn't frequent. It was just when something was really not working and I needed to disengage from Onyx and like conceptualize blocking, or something big picture needed to change.
Do you do a lot of prep in the lead up? Like, are you rehearsing your own scenes with yourself in the mirror? So like
No.
Really?
I don't even think about I didn't memorize anything until the morning.
That's crazy to me because you had so much dialogue and you were rattling it off.
But you wrote it, so I'm sure that helps.
So it's there, and I know the rhythm of Onyx, so I can know. It's at this point I know what line would most likely come next. I access the same part of my brain, So it's memorized, but it's memorized the day we have to do it, and it just kind of is there because I wrote it. And when I write, I read it out loud, make sure it has the right rhythm. That
Well, you're a comedy guy too, so
Yeah.
you know I think people who have chops in comedy and improv, you know, can do that a little bit more on the fly.
Yeah. And having started acting when I was a little kid, I was always very obsessive about memorization and would pride myself on going into like doing radio spots in DC where I would get it in like one take and the adult that was in the spot was like flubbing and messing up. And I'd be like, am I done? So I really pride myself on the memorization.
How old were you when you were doing these radio spots?
Like 8, 9.
I want to see pictures of you.
There are
from
some
that
great,
age.
there's some great little me headshots and
Yeah.
and then I even did an
Just
episode.
hamming it up?
Oh my gosh! Oof.
You said though that like ONYX was this like version of like your 5th grade self, and you had this like confidence then. Is he now kind of like a way for you to feel confident in these like social situations that you said you're always like looking for a when is this over kind of moment?
Oh, for sure. I mean, I didn't realize until I did an improvised sketch as ONYX with a therapist, and I told her I want to stay in character, and I want you to. I'm not like an Ali G type of guy where I want to trick people.
Yeah.
I wanted her to know this is a bit, but I take it seriously because I've learned over the years that it has something to do with me personally and my psyche. And she's like, "This is great, but I'm going to go deep with you and ONYX," and I was like, "That's fine."
Now, was this filmed or was this just?
Oh my God,
We
that's
filmed it, and
wild.
it was an hour session that I edited into like a 6-minute sketch. But I realized as she was talking to me,
It's a real therapist?
yeah. And I realized as I was talking and telling stories, you know, when you improvise, you're bringing up specifics, and they're usually from your life.
Yeah.
You try to pick something you can, you know, that you can explore, or, you know, go
Yeah.
deep around. And so many of the stories from ONYX in the movie are from my childhood, the embarrassment that I felt when I asked somebody out, or me being angry and just listening to the Phantom of the Opera soundtrack. So over the course of that session with that therapist, I think I really understood what ONYX was for me, and that he was kind of a processing agent for my anxiety. And he's confident when he's talking about, he's both verbose and then also incredibly insecure, which is, I'm confident if I'm in my space and talking about the things that I'm comfortable talking about, but otherwise not comfortable at all.
Was it a catharsis for you then to go through the process of making this film and having, you're shaking your head as I'm saying that, you know, ONYX being so insecure and then overcoming his difficulties and seeing that he had worth and value, and that he won the day, and
that he made friends. That was the thing. As I was writing the script, I started writing the script thinking there'll be an ensemble, but they'll all be kind of two-dimensional characters that can get killed off because it needs to be a gory horror comedy. But then as I was writing it and I was listening to the little ONYX voice, he just wants friends. He just wants a crew. So that's when I realized, spoiler alert, that people will die, but they'll all come back, and they'll be his little squad, and they'll all get along, and they'll believe in him, and he'll believe in them. And yeah, when I hit on that, I was like, this is so ironic. Because also what led me to make the Kickstarter was like, I can do this myself, you know? I don't need anyone. And then I'm like, the whole script is about friendship, and then the whole process of filming,
need people
collaboration
to make something happen.
Exactly.
But how funny that like you say like you struggle to make friends, you're what, you know, and that is what this entire film is about.
Oh yeah. I know, and it snuck up on me. It wasn't what I went into. That wasn't like the theme I went into wanting to. But with ONYX, a lot of times, like in the very first video, it's a throwaway joke. He says something like, maybe I'm not Mark who works at Arby's. Maybe I'm ONYX the Fortuitous, Slayer of the Bright Realm. And then he talks about his stepdad. And they kind of feel like asides because they're just random specifics that might make you laugh. But then they become little breadcrumbs to actually flesh out the narrative to where the movie is about, is he the fortuitous one or not, et cetera. And so early on in the script, I had him say, in the intro, he says, my name is Mark, but my friends, my many, many friends, call me ONYX the Fortuitous. And then the second he said that and was overcompensating, I thought, oh, that's the theme. Yeah. One of the through lines is, and then Todd makes fun of him. Well, if you've got all these friends, let's have them over tonight, you know, and then ONYX gets angry. So then it just kind of were these breadcrumbs to build out the theme for him to find that.
You know, look, I'm sure that you, as a filmmaker and creative, obviously want to make more things. Obviously, you want to keep doing it. But does part of you feel like I did it? Like there's this character who you've built for so many years, and then you wrote a feature-length film, you got it crowdfunded, you made it, it's a good movie, it's funny, it's enjoyable. Like, does part of you feel at least somewhat satiated, satisfied, like, oh, I did it? Because I'm in the position of like, oh, I'd like to make something. If I eventually make a film, will that be enough just making one? And I'm like, I think part of it'll never be, you'll never,
No.
yeah.
Because I made Jacob's Wife and it took me, I'm sorry, I'm answering your question first. It's what I do.
Yeah, no, you have a wealth of experience though in this area,
Well,
especially.
I made Jacob's Wife and it took me 4 years to make it. And I said, if I just make this movie, I don't care if I do anything else. I don't care. I just want to make this one movie. Please, I want to make this one movie. And then I made it and I went, well, I kind of like to make another one too. Then I really got invested in Suitable Flesh and I was like, I have to make this movie. Oh my God, this is, Joe Lynch. This is Heather Graham. This is another level. Come on. I have to make this movie. And now, where am I now? I'm not done.
Yeah.
I'm not done. So I don't know.
Yeah.
What is that for you?
Similar, but I will say there was a real sense it felt like I had wrapped, like a 40-year journey.
Yeah.
In a way, because I've made small features and some of them have even played great festivals. I made a $500 found footage movie that played South by in 2010.
Oh, shit.
And so I've had these I don't know, feathers in my cap as a filmmaker, but I never made a traditionally shot kind of more cinematic narrative film. They were always a mockumentary or found footage, something experimental, because I was just like, what can we shoot for $500, for $5,000, et cetera. So the journey of ONYX, and then also kind of him always being maybe at odds with me being seen as a director, but me loving him, so kind of keeping him close while I still grew as a filmmaker, then finally getting a properly, it's still an indie, but it's shot like a movie.
It was a real movie.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's a real movie.
Yeah.
Getting that made really was, I felt beyond satisfied, like in a way that I have not felt since I started wanting to do this when I was little.
You
So
should.
Yeah.
Like,
there was a real, thank you. There was a real sense of completion in a way. And the fact that ONYX got me to Sundance was, that was just me and him. I talk about him in the third person. But like when that happened, I was like, you kidding me, dude? I've entered so many of my films into that festival. And I've, again, always been a little at odds with ONYX because I wanted to be seen as a filmmaker. And the fact that following that path then got me to the film festival I've wanted to play since I started wanting to make movies.
And it's a midnight movie, and they only take like 5 or
I
7.
know.
I don't know how many they had, but it was
Yeah.
a handful.
It was a handful. And so at that point, I was like, oh, I am beyond satisfied. I went into that thinking, and honestly, I still kind of feel this way, like negative reviews won't bother me. I'm at Sundance with a movie that I made about a weird guy that's been living in my brain for 10 years. And I was able to just be at peace and love being there because of the sense of kind of satisfaction or completion. But all that to say, what it then did to my brain was I kind of didn't know what to write next.
Yeah.
And I found that I had to get excited about another kind of fully original world building thing that would also stimulate me from the technical angle. And so for a while, I was just sitting in my garage like, well, I don't know what to do now. And then I came up with an idea that I've been writing. And now now my mind is like, that's actually the reason I'm on this earth.
Okay, what's that?
movie. Yeah.
See, that's your next thing. So can you
Okay,
tell us
yeah.
a little bit about that?
I can't.
Yeah, you can.
Oh, go ahead, man. Just let us know. What is it? And what was the second act break?
Yeah. I can't because it's still so amorphous and I'm in the middle of, there's a number of reasons why I can't. One is I'm in that place of writing where you're trying to stay confident about the idea because you are convinced it's great.
Yeah.
And I've told a couple of friends the pitch and some will be like, oh, that's great. And I'm like, isn't it? And then I'll want to write that night. Then I'll tell one friend and they're like, huh, And
Yeah,
I'm
it's
like, well, fuck it. I'm not gonna
Like,
write
I don't
tonight.
know what I'm talking about.
So like I'm still in that
yeah.
place of like that kind of paralysis where you're in mid creation.
Yeah.
But it is like a high concept horror film that I
Okay.
do not act in. There's no.
Really?
Oh,
you
yeah.
just want to direct
Come
this time.
Oh yeah.
well, direct,
Okay.
right,
Right,
edit.
direct, edit if they'll let me. I have to
Well,
edit.
this is like what you're saying about, okay, and I have to just pause for a minute because I'm sitting here in this chair and I thought I was going to get up and leave. It's okay.
It's a new format.
No, you're here.
It's
Put
working.
my wash into the dryer and then come back. But I find myself sitting here. So I guess I'm sitting here now.
Yeah.
I don't know. Our show is.
No one's gonna mind
changing.
more
No one is
Barbara.
going to be upset, Barbara.
Okay. But let's see. So I want to talk about thank you for your opinion because I want to talk about opinions for a minute. And you're saying that you went to the film festival. Like, yeah, some people are going to love you and some people are not going to like you, and or what you put out. And you are writing a new script and you're telling your friends. And I think you can find agreement anywhere for any idea, anything. My idea is shit. Yeah, it's kind of shitty. My idea is good. Oh my God, I have this character. Yeah, it's really great. And everyone's opinion is amplified right now on the internet with all the platforms we're on. And so it's hard to like really keep to the purity of what you're wanting to express and do. But I think the thing that carries over anybody making any movie is about the passion that you have for that one thing that you're trying to do. You have to have so much belief in the character, in the story, in the people that you're working with, that you just have to push through any of the negativity. Because even if you have the best fucking idea, at some point you're going to doubt yourself. And you're going to say, you know what? I don't think this is going to work. And how many times did I doubt myself on everything that I've ever worked on as an actor or as a producer? Like, I don't know if this is going to, and you can't listen to those voices and you can't listen to those other people. You just have to stay true to what you want to do and be a doer. You have to take action and be a doer.
Yeah. And there's been ideas over the years where one or two no's might make me give up on the idea.
Yeah.
And then I'll have an idea where I realize no matter how many no's I get, I will be doing this.
Yeah.
And so this idea is one of those where I feel like I have that resolve, which is key. You have to, I already have posters for it and storyboards and
That's
a
amazing.
proof of concept, and there's I've been activated on it, which is proof to me that this is one of those that I'm in love with.
But I feel like that's one of those things, like, especially, I think it's all filmmakers across the board, but I think especially people who are performers and actors at their core, like, we're taught to be what people want us to be, So it's like, oh, you don't like that? Okay, watch me give you something you do like. Like, watch me.
For sure.
And I think it for me, it's been a conscious unprogramming of like, no, who I am and my choices as a creative and what lights me up is awesome and is amazing, and that belief in that, and like and I think you're such an inspiring prime example of that, because it's like, oh, this thing that you're always like, oh no, I'm a filmmaker, I have to keep that separate from this weird character I do. That can't be the same because that's not traditional and that's not what filmmakers do. And then you do, and you premiere at Sundance.
Right.
You know, it's just embracing what you know to be powerful.
And that stuff did get in my head for a long time, because I would go out for meetings, 5 or 6 years ago, and people would say, whatever development person I was pitching to, they'd be like, but what do you want to do, right? Direct, but you're an actor, and if they're confused, then I feel like, I know it's confusing and I don't make sense and I shouldn't be here. You all of a sudden just feel like all these apologies need to come to the surface. But luckily with ONYX, he forces the uniqueness. Even as I was writing, a lot of the voices in my head of should it be this or should it be that were just gone, because he is what he is. And even like negative reviews, most of them just don't like ONYX.
Yeah.
So it's very freeing, because it's like, well,
That's not going to work
the
for
guy.
you. Yep.
That's the guy.
Well, I think not everything is not for everybody.
Exactly.
There's so many choices out there of so many things. If you don't like it, move on, watch something else.
I know, but I totally get that feeling, because that like imposter syndrome feeling about it, because like for the longest time, I was an actor. I've been an actor since I was a kid, but I didn't start working behind the camera and producing until I was, in my 20s. I just wanted to understand everything and like really be able to do everything. And I kept them so separate. I would go into meetings and never tell people that I was also an actor.
Right.
Because I'd be like, they're not going to hire me and they're not going to take me seriously. And I would keep it like a big secret. And even to this day, I'll be on a job and someone will be like, oh, I found out you're an actor. I saw this movie you're in. And I like, go, oh yeah, I don't really do that anymore. That's a lie.
Right.
That's a total lie.
That's a
That's like
total lie.
predominantly what I do. But I will flat out lie
Yeah.
and say that
That's
because
shocking to me.
because I feel like people don't take me seriously as an as a producer and a writer.
Why can't you be a
when-
triple threat?
Well,
double
but
threat,
that's the
whatever.
thing. Like you're proof that you can. And every time we do these, and I talk to people like you, I'm like, oh my god, I'm such a moron. Like, why am I afraid to? But like, it's just like it's
Well,
this whole kind of thing that doesn't work. How can you possibly?
Yeah.
But then at the same time, you have to do everything because if you
Well,
don't,
this
have
is-
to do everything today.
This is what's so frustrating is like my freshman year of film school, I wasn't an editor. I just wanted to be a writer director, and I had shot over the summer. I shot a feature in my hometown that is probably unwatchable, but I brought it to an editing major to cut it the following fall, and I was like, "Hey, here's my hard drives." We had a couple meetings. He was going to cut it. Months pass, and I go back to his place, and it was like a 7th floor walk up, and he said, "Oh, I didn't touch the footage. I got busy with other stuff. Here's your hard drives." And I
my
thought,
God.
well, I'm going to be an editor. I will never be in that situation ever again. So what's frustrating is the industry has kind of forced us to become jacks of all trades, and then at the same time, there's people in the industry that would criticize that. And I'm like, hey, I'd love it if I could have someone else do this, and that. But unfortunately, I had to do it all myself, or else I wouldn't have been creating.
Well, it's all also the new wave of filmmakers because I came back with Your Next after taking a long absence, and everybody on that film was doing all different kinds of jobs.
Right.
When I was back in the day doing Re-Animator and From Beyond, I just stayed in my lane. I was an actor, waited for the phone to ring. And then on Your Next, I saw that Ty West was in the movie, and he was an actor, and he was just helping his friends. And then, there was other actors like Amy Seimetz and Joe Swanberg, and even, Adam Wingard grabbed the camera from Andrew Palermo at one point, who was the DP, and said, "Oh, I just really want to get this shot. I know exactly what I'm thinking in my head. Give me the damn camera." And then he started, and it was me. He was filming me like, "I'm just going to film this thing right here." And it was so inspiring to me that all these people were helping each other and doing multiple jobs that I went, oh, this is what the kids do now. So I think
the kids.
you're a kid. And you're a kid, and you're.
I'll take it.
You're all. You're
in the
doing
school
it,
of Barbara
and also
Crampton.
But I think you have to do this today.
Yeah.
Because it's also about money, and we're all in. This indie world where people aren't giving us oodles of money to make things.
Right.
And it's getting harder and harder to get any money anywhere. So we're all doing each other's, movies and helping each other with different jobs, and so I mean that's.
Well, I think it's also the model, like the profit model now. Things aren't getting the theatrical releases they used to get. The streaming model is not profitable. We've learned that maybe for some people, but it's certainly not for the creatives who work on the films. So we have to do.
Unless you're super, super famous, I think.
Yeah,
those
but even then,
get
like the
special attention.
residuals are not like you see. Like what was it during the strike that was like the big number that like I think it was Kamiko Glenn who shared her Orange is the New Black residuals, and like that was wild. It was like 42 cents for like all of the seasons, and like she was a major recurring.
Well, that was the
character.
first show that was on Netflix.
No, House of Cards.
Oh,
Yeah.
second one.
Yeah.
Okay, but I think they famously weren't getting residuals. On
Yeah,
that,
like,
because they got a big payout.
I
at the
remember
beginning.
being in New York at that time and knowing girls on that show who were also working bar jobs and like couldn't pay for their like red carpet dresses while they're getting Emmy noms because like it's not profitable. So we have to.
So on your next project, are you planning to kickstart again? Or are you going to go try to do a more traditional route? Or
No, I
raise
think
funding?
I think I have to go a more traditional route because the budget would be a lot higher than I think I could kickstart.
Yeah, because you kickstart for ONYX $600,000, but there's no way that movie only cost that amount.
We had
There's
to
no
then
way.
find further financing, which I like being upfront about because I don't want other filmmakers to think
Like, how did they do that for
Yeah.
600 grand?
Yeah.
Yeah, you have so
The
many
puppets you
the
had and
puppetry
everything.
and
Yes.
everything.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And the
Yes.
location and
Yeah.
you know
Yeah.
flying everybody in and
we were
putting
in
everybody up.
Massachusetts. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the 600 was really like, seed money, or it attracted investors to then kind of finish the budget that we needed. But I think if this script that I'm writing now, if it could be what I get to make next, I think I'd have to go through more traditional routes for financing, because it is just, the higher concept angle involves
And what does that mean
special
to you,
effects.
traditional?
Well, I
means?
guess
What does that mean?
the truth is, it still could be independent financing, so it might not need to be. When I say it, I guess I am thinking smaller studios or production companies, that are set up to make movies, whereas the money for ONYX came from investors that have not been involved in filmmaking. But it could also be that this is independently financed.
But yeah, movies have been made forever on
Yeah.
equity financing from
Yeah.
doctors and lawyers and
Totally.
people that are wealthy donors that just want to make movies.
Yeah. Yeah. And I do think, even though I said that I wasn't influenced by negative reviews, one reason that I want to pursue this idea is just that, I am more interested in being a director than acting. I learned that very early on. But any of the reviews that didn't respond well to ONYX, they were able to pin the flaws on me for wearing too many hats. And it's a bit like I just said, well, sure, if I could have given some of those hats to some other people, but
Then the movie wouldn't have gotten
but the movie wouldn't have gotten made. So you're talking about an implausible, you know what I mean? Like, I think somebody else should have done this. Really? Well, then the movie wouldn't have been done.
Yeah. There wasn't a person. Yeah.
So, but I would like to, not as a reaction to that take, but I would like to focus on something where if I'm going to be criticized, criticize me as a director
Yeah.
only, and don't get distracted by, well, this scene kind of didn't work. It's probably because he was, acting and I'm like, well, it didn't work because we were running out of time. Or, they never know the real reasons why something didn't work. But I don't want whatever I get to make next, I don't want there to be a reason to be distracted from what I think I can accomplish as a filmmaker.
So you just want to focus on directing and writing mostly?
Yeah.
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 Okay.
So that would be the goal.
We have to wrap you up soon, but we do have a game that we wanted to play
Sure.
with you.
I was just wondering about the game too. I was like, how do we talk about the game right now? Because I'm here. Already, I didn't poof in. I didn't poof out. I didn't poof in.
No.
You were so compelling. She was going to go back to the Beyond, and she was like, "I must
know.
stay."
Yeah.
It was fortuitous.
This is the first time that I've stayed the whole interview and
Yeah.
chatted with everyone. I don't know. I feel
I don't know.
alternatively strange and amazing. Yeah. So
Well,
but-
the game itself, we break to reset. We're breaking the fourth wall big time here, but we break to reset and we brief on what the game is. But we wanted to ask you some questions about ONYX's sleep patterns.
Oh, yeah.
Since
You
we've
say
got
you
to
know this
interview-
character so well.
Since we got to interview you,
Yeah.
we wanted to ask, and you can come up with your own, Barbara, if you are really curious about how ONYX sleeps.
And just so you know, ONYX, his speaking pattern and just how established it is has infiltrated my real life. Like Chelsea and I certain things will be like Martin Scorsese's Killers of the Flower Moon, and he's just like constantly. I don't know.
You know what's so
always comes
funny
up.
is that I get such a kick out of. I've recently watched, because now the movie's on like Tubi and all these other places, so there's kind of an influx of new reviews. So the other night I was watching some of the YouTube reviews of the film, even the negative ones, because they're fun to watch. But they're especially fun to watch when people impersonate ONYX while criticizing the movie. I don't know why
That's
it's so funny to
hilarious,
me,
yeah.
but because it's almost like I've brought them down to my level to criticize me. They're like, this is the kind of movie where a character says, the only thing that's ever touched my wee-wee is my never washed pair of battle cats under ruse. And I'm like, that's a funny line. Thanks for doing it. And they do the inflection, but then they're angry because they didn't like the movie. And I'm like, this is
Like, still gotcha.
yeah, they still gotcha.
okay, so we want to ask these questions, but you should do it as ONYX, right?
Okay.
yes.
Right? Don't you think?
Yes.
I'll
and
try
you
my
can add
best.
whatever you want to ask.
I think I've had
I
enough
mean, we
coffee.
can all
to
ask
be
them.
honest.
There's a lot of questions there, so I don't have to be the only person asking the question, but I'll ask the first one. Is ONYX the Fortuitous a side sleeper? And if so, which side?
Oh, actually, I sleep on my back like this, like a vampire. So, yeah, with all the lights out and a silk eye mask on. That's how I sleep. Yeah. I have bad acid reflux, so if I sleep on my side, I'll spittle in the middle of the night.
Oh, do you keep like a bucket next to you?
Yeah, I got a little spit bucket.
Just in case.
Yeah, it's actually the Dune popcorn bucket, and I just fill it up every night.
How often do you gotta empty that worm?
3 times a night?
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Yeah. I
Your
got
eyebrows
real
do-
bad acid reflux.
His eyebrows do something when you act like honest. Your eyebrows go like that.
You know what was fun is training the little boy who plays young ONYX to do that. And I realized that's a default, that's anxiety. You know, that's like my default as a child was to go into every situation worried and panicked. And when I was trying to direct the little boy to do it, I could tell he didn't have that feeling yet.
He was just a confident
know
man.
Yeah, he was just like, stuff's good. What am I supposed to? And I had to train him to do that worried face. And
Yeah,
That-
to start
that was
telling them
you
about
at-
the
you
economy.
younger.
And
yes,
Yes.
me younger. Yeah, yeah.
In
Well,
that
does
character.
ONYX the Fortuitous prefer cotton or satin silk sheets?
Oh, satin all the way. I'll break out in hives when I'm covered in cotton. Yeah.
Cotton.
Yeah. Like an 8,000 thread count satin?
So do you wear cotton t-shirts?
Nah.
Never.
No.
Only silk blouses.
When I'm at home, I just wear like an open silk vest. Yeah.
That's a good choice. Where do you get them from?
I get them from Shein.
What?
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a deal with them. I do like unboxings and I try on my silk vests and then I get like a discount code.
I heard there was it was like a bidding war between Temu and Shein.
Yeah.
Both were
yeah.
going for you, right?
Yeah, Temu lost out.
What time does ONYX go to bed?
Oh, the witching hour, 3 a.m. Yeah. I can't sleep until I see that clock hit 3. Yeah. And then I can rest.
Do you fall asleep right away?
Nah. I usually stay up just kind of thinking about, bad decisions I've made. And then I go to sleep and dream about bad decisions I've made.
Like what?
One time when I was a kid, I thought I saw a goblin in a bathroom in my elementary school. And I told all my friends about it. And it turned out it was just like a radiator with the casing off and a bunch of tubes inside that made it look like a goblin. And everybody called me Goblin Boy after that. So that was a bad decision.
That sounds real.
Yeah.
That sounds very specific and real.
It's very specific because it happened.
What kinds of nightmares does ONYX the Fortuitous have?
I have a lot of nightmares about people getting skinned alive. And so I'll wake up in the middle of the night just screaming, Jesus! Yeah. One time I saw this guy and he was like getting on an escalator and the escalator sucked him up. And on the other end of the escalator, just bones got spat out.
Ooh.
Yeah. Freaky stuff like that. I'm kind of like
scary.
Clive Barker in that way. Yeah. Always thinking about skin.
Okay.
Any tattoos?
I've got one tattoo. Yeah. And it's a Battle Cat toy right above my pelvic area. So, yeah. It's a secret. Yeah.
How many people have seen that tattoo?
Just me.
Oh, does ONYX the Fortuitous prefer feather, cotton, or memory foam pillows?
Oh, memory foam all the way. Because I sleep in my fedora, and so it carves it out. When I lay back down, it just fits right in there like a little action figure in a box.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
It
That
doesn't
molded plastic?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it fits right around the brim.
keeps it intact.
Yeah, it keeps it intact so I can have all those nightmares about skin and bones.
Do you have like does the fedora, leave a mark on your hairline since you sleep in it?
No, I switch it out for like one of those kind of like Jamiroquai style, like Kangol fedoras
Nice.
at nighttime, so it's softer, doesn't leave an impression.
Why do you always have to have it on?
Oh, because I feel like my brain's going to come out of my head if I don't have it on.
Such big thoughts.
Yeah, big thoughts.
Big
Always
nightmares.
dreaming big. Yeah. Big nightmares. A lot to keep in there.
I want to ask what happened to you after the movie? Because at the end of the movie, you've defeated Bartok and you're like reigning supreme in the mansion. What happens after that?
Yeah, well, actually, so Farah,
Yeah.
who got kicked out at the end of the movie,
Right.
She's trying to take back over the mansion. And so me and my squad are just always chilling, but she's raised these demons to help her take the mansion back. One of the demons she raised was this little guy who couldn't really be of any use to her. So he came over and lives with me now. And we just kind of hang out and watch Alf all
What's
day
his
long.
name?
His name's Runt.
Runt.
Yeah.
Is that his name or is that the name you gave him?
Well, when he talks, he just goes, "Wah."
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I was like, your name's Runt. Want to watch Alf?
Kind of like a Hodor situation.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. So we're just always vibing, watching Alf with Runt.
I mean, I know you're going to do another movie and direct it, but do you want ONYX to live on in another iteration?
I do.
Yeah. Okay.
I do. Yeah.
Maybe a series.
I would love to do. I think I've crossed over the point of being. There might have been a time where I didn't want to keep exploring Onyx, but I'm.
Oh, you're morphing into Andrew now.
Yeah, I know. but now I'm in a place where I just love him and I would keep doing him forever. So if it were a series or a comic book or a cartoon,
Like an animated series follow up to the
so
movie would be
good.
great.
But I
Yeah,
think
those
if you did a
characters.
comic book, that's like a segue into a series or
Yeah.
something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah, I definitely want to. I
And
might even
the visual aspects of the world lend themselves really well to
For
an
sure.
animation or a comic book.
For
I think.
sure.
They're striking and like unique.
Yeah. And I was writing a sequel, and I will finish writing the sequel when I'm finished this other idea.
Oh.
But I thought maybe I'll just try to make a graphic novel of that script if we don't get to make a proper sequel film, just so there's something out there.
Definitely.
Thank you so much for joining us. You and Onyx, actually.
Thank you for
Hey,
having
this
us
is amazing.
both.
You both. This is a 2 for 1. This is
I
a 3 for
know.
1. We got Barbara the whole time. This has been incredible.
There's a lot of pressure on me to be here, but I
You were
enjoyed
just
it a lot.
well, you handled it well.
Where can the people of the internet, of the world, find out more about you, about Onyx,
Yeah.
about all your future endeavors?
Just Andrew Bowser, director, is my social handle for most places, and then ONYX the Fortuitous, official.
I like the official. Like,
Yeah.
in case you didn't.
Just
in
give it a
case,
name.
In case you were
Because you
the
didn't know.
unofficial.
Totally, yeah.
You know.
Well, and I even gave myself like Andrew Bowser, director. We're talking about like defining yourself and what you do. Because I was known for acting when I was younger. When social media happened, I was like, I'm putting director in my handle, which is a way of just
Actualizing
like,
it.
Yeah.
like just saying that's what I do now. But if people want to watch Onyx, it's on. You can rent and buy it on Amazon and iTunes, and then it's on Tubi and Vudu, and you can buy it or rent it on YouTube. Pretty much wherever you can find movies, you can find ONYX the Fortuitous.
You know what? I had a lot of fun being on that film, and just because I've been a horror movie actress for a long time, but I was able to do a little comedy, and
Oh, yeah.
you really helped me with that, and so
Well, you were
thank
very
you.
natural with it, though, too. Honestly,
I
there was great reactions. It's not easy to give
To be funny?
Yeah, well, and to give like there's so many actors where if they're just reacting, they're not really giving you much.
They're just
okay.
waiting to say the funny
Yeah,
line.
You
but,
know
like,
what?
you
That's
had
true. I've seen
so
that too. Yeah.
many great little reactions to the craziness that was happening around you that made it really easy to cut. You were very funny. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for
Andrew.
having me.
If you liked this interview with Andrew, or about nightmares, or if you like Onyx, or if you like us, or if you just like podcasts in general,
And if you like that I broke out of the sidebar and I'm sitting in the chair.
please like, subscribe, follow, subscribe to our Patreon. That helps us the most. Share it with your friends.
Ring the bell.
Ring the bell.
Ring the
Ring the bell.
Tell the algorithms that you like us so that it shows up for you. We'll see.
I think that there's a knock at the door. Somebody's here.
Oh god.
Ooh.
Is this leading into a bit, or do we really gotta wrap up and go?
I think we have to
gotta
wrap up
wrap
and go.
up and go.
Anyway, until next time, I'm Catherine Corcoran.
I'm James A. Janisse
And
I'm Barbara Crampton!
and Andrew Bowser,
I'm Andrew Bowser.
and this has been Screen Dreams, the nightmares that shape us. Keep the light on. Thank you.
Goodbye. That was good.
And then the organizers of the event ushered them up to a better seat. So then I was left by
She had her
myself.
accordion.
Did she what?
She plays accordion.
I didn't know that.
She taught herself.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Played it in Last Man on Earth.
Then there's no excuse for me not to teach myself French.
There you go. Oh, French.
That's not. I didn't. That's not what I.